second pick here. Ken is asking if I'm planning a longer than 90-second break here. I'll tell you what. I can take a little extra of a break here in the near future. We're now on the 26th round. We've got 7.5 minutes. Can you keep on going at least till my next planned break? It is the Stag's second pick we're waiting on here. He just submitted it. Let me see if I can find him. Just for a breath and some ketchup. Yeah, that's fair enough. We've been going. But remember, we're only now officially 1/3 of the way done on this. We got a ways to go here. We might want to start just being a little quicker, and I might be a little shorter on things. Jesus Luzardo, former Arizona Diamondback, kind of languishing in the minors here, is going to get an opportunity as the Stags will select him. He's now 29 years old, originally from Peru, also part Venezuelan. Mostly pitched in AAA here, but if you look at his major leagues, he was kind of borderline in his Oakland days, but when he went to Arizona in the 2023 championship season, he did just enough to be a part of that World Championship organization, including in the playoffs. 16 appearances, ERA under 3 at that time. And then last time he was in the majors was for 4 appearances in 2024. Still kept it under 4 in that instance. Yeah, that'd be great. Thanks, JR. I appreciate that. So Luzardo, a guy who has a lot of service time available before he's a free agent. Might never see, actual free agency days. Who knows? Maybe now more likely. But he will be selected, and there's a tiger off the board. Caught a tiger by its tail. So, you know what? I have an idea here. At the next break, let me release an as-is file for Ken and Attica to download. And I will take maybe an extra 5 minutes beyond the commercial break. The file should be available pretty quickly. But anyway, that's just my thought. So, that we'll see if that could possibly help. So I will try to send a file to let these guys try to work with what they get. All right, Montreal's first pick in the 26th round.
If you would join us.
Brandon, thank you very much for hitting the follow. Welcome to Fluffy Kitty Ninjas and our first ever expansion draft. Cubs. Gonzalo Jaraquez has been selected. He's a 1.0 legend. Trying to remember if we listed him as a legend or not, but he is the 23-year-old, not having much of a 2.0 experience thus far. Hey! Yep, Jedi Cats do hit even during expansion drafts. If you are here, hi Brandon, you are welcome for the sub, courtesy of the 5 gifted subs from Jason Hillman, our 1.0er. Jason's put up with me for 22 years like a few others have. Oh dear Lord, now they're coming. Now, Brendan says, have some gifted subs. If you are here and you got a gifted sub, you have been invited to create a community created player. And a community created player means we will tell your story. Your player will be entered into the amateur draft, not the expansion draft, the amateur draft, coming at the All-Star break in 2027. You're watching the expansion draft here in the off season. And we are now in this round number 26. Gonzalo Jaraquez, again a 1.0 legend, not doing much yet in this 2.0 universe. He was 6-9, 34 saves as a closer for AAA Iowa. I think he would like to be more of a starter, but he just hasn't shown enough yet, as in the prior season he had an ERA just south of 7 during that time. Might be better as a reliever long term, but we'll see. Jaraquez, selected by the Cubs. All right, Ken says he doesn't want to risk using an updated file. I don't know how Attica feels about getting an updated file. Do I have your pick? Can I find him right away? I can. From the Mets, Montreal selects Brian Warren, 24-year-old from Newark, New Jersey. Very capable defender, good doubles type of hitter. Had 28 doubles in this past season and had as many as 39 back in A-ball Rome back in 2024. He also was knocking the cover off the ball in this past season as he hit as high as 346 for Binghamton in Double-A and 278 in 133 at-bats for Akron. Pretty good type of potential player. Not going to be a big average kind of guy, but when he gets puts bat on ball, he's going to be able to cause some havoc here with his legs. That's not a bad player to have. All right, just hearing from both that they're not the biggest okay, next selection is in. See if I could find it right away. There he is, another player. 2 straight Mets are gone here. So where are the Mets here at this point? I think this is their 4th player. Oscar Fisher is being selected. Fisher is now the 4th Met, so we now have a couple more teams at 4 players. Fisher, 21 years old from Waterloo, Indiana. This past year played as high as A-plus ball, hit 348 with a couple home runs in 115 at-bats there, not games. Played almost 60 games in A-ball and hit 287 with a couple home runs as well. So kind of maybe a prototypical leadoff or bottom third of the lineup guy. Not a stolen base specialist. He's not a big he's not a big fielder. He's not known for his defense. He's known for getting bat on ball. Just not an Ichiro Suzuki kind of player where he has a cannon for an arm. Now, what balls he does get, he's pretty accurate. He's got pretty soft hands. He just needs to work on his footwork, which explains why he struggles with both his stealing ability as well as his outfield defense. But Fisher's still a good possible offensive-minded type of player, maybe a good, respectable 4th outfielder. Still not a bad choice here for a guy who you own completely, 6 seasons. Stags will select him. Pick is in. Next selection is done. See if I can find him. There he is, reliever from the San Francisco Giants. Bobby Gardner is a 22-year-old, just turned 22 from New Jersey. Could be a possible starter. Hasn't been used in that role in San Francisco since 2024, where he did pitch in 1 game for the Giants this year. So just 4 days of experience in the majors for Gardner. Again, a right-hander, can keep the ball on the ground. Good with the fastball, but needs to work on the secondary pitches, which could be the liability for him. But he's pretty accurate, finds the zone pretty well, has respectable movement. Not the biggest strikeout kind of guy. Yep, commercial is... Oh, commercial's coming. Hold on. Didn't see the commercial, so if you are seeing this, my bad. Yeah, professional streamer didn't look at when the ad was going to start. It's back. Yeah, we got to pay for my daughter's college somehow, so appreciate your patience through the ads. I'm going to talk with my community about how to change that for the next draft in particular. We are getting close to the 30th round. Let's go. This is the second pick of the 28th round. Whoa, we had Bomb with Jamie. Thank you. There's your Yosemite Sam dance. Thank you for the 10 gifted subs, Jamie Thurman from the Texas Rangers. Appreciate that. And I saw some names there. I'll circle back on the names again. If you are here and you were gifted a sub and you've never created a player, you could be part of the story. There's your link. Join us in our Discord. There's the create a player template. Others will help you. But let me jump back in on this second pick of the 28th round from the Seattle Mariners will be C.J. Nice Jr. We saw Nice a fair amount this season. ERA just north of 63 innings of work. Nice with a couple seasons of majors experience, 3 seasons to be exact. ERA right around 4. 97 strikeouts here on the career for Nice in 85 plus innings of work. Again, an inexpensive guy that you can possibly see what he can offer you. And he's young. That doesn't hurt either. All right. So I see my next pick. Ken, are you still wanting a part of a break? Let me know, because you did have your next pick in pretty quick. Let me do it this way. Go look for a starter. Might be quicker to find him that way. Maybe. Yep, I did. Okay. Let me ask this then. Can you guys go? So we got 25 minutes to our next ad. I'd like to, if possible, try to do like 10 or 15 minutes of a break if that will help you. Okay. Yeah, let's see if we can go to the end of this particular segment before our next commercial, and then we'll have an extended break. We'll go on an intermission. Hate to do it, but we'll go on intermission at that time. Meanwhile, let's get your next pick in for the Expos. 29th selection will be Franklin Perez from the Detroit Tigers. $12 million this year, $12.5 million next year. Both are guaranteed. Perez, well, he was 11-6 this year. In 28 follows. He pitched more as a follower in Detroit this past season. Don't know if I would consider that it worked that well for him considering, but still logged 153 innings of work. The 28-year-old Venezuelan, 67-65 in his career, 4.22 ERA, just south of 1,000 strikeouts lifetime. Very likely he will do that in an Expos uniform. Okay, so both guys have said, so here's the plan for those of you watching. We are planning to take, we'll say, when we go to commercial in about 23 minutes, we're going to take a 10-minute extended break, so intermission screen will come up for that one. Everyone will get a snack. Good chance for you to stretch, and we'll try to go as far as we can. We're trying to get all 75 rounds done here online, but we'll see. This is a labor of love, to put it mildly. All right, so Perez is selected. I think that's a good pick, and he's not terribly expensive, but if he could pitch more like he did the prior 2 seasons, he might be more serviceable. All right, Stags are up, and they have their pick. Let me go to all players, and we'll do it this way. It would really be great if when you check that off, if the filter would work. Tommy Migliazzo from the Chicago White Sox, the 23-year-old. We looked at him yesterday. Upper 90s with that fastball. Works a forkball slider. Does not really use the changeup very much. Definitely a swing and miss type of power pitcher that actually has some pretty decent control. Now, he's not the biggest guy. He's 5'9", 175 pounds. How long can he do that? Second round draft pick back in 2022 from the Patterson Institute. Just turning 23 very recently, so he's young. That means he's probably got plenty of mileage still to go on that arm. But can a 5'9" guy throw that hard and avoid injury? That is going to be a big question mark that we will be learning here. All right, drafted. We are now in the 30th round. Next pick for the Stags. Nice has been selected. Attica, Nice was taken in the last of the last two players. No worries. Hey, we got 29 rounds in before someone picked a player already selected. That's pretty good. Okay. Pick is in for the Stags here to start the 30th round, and they'll go after Seattle Mariner 24-year-old Dan Jones, ground ball sidearm specialist, fastball screwball. That's a nice mix. From Rocky Mount, North Carolina, a guy who could potentially be an offensive type. He has power. He is a good power hitter in his day, just not known for average over his time. But he did have 6 home runs and 20 RBI back in 2025 playing an A- ball. So he could definitely be a possible offensive-minded type of player. Maybe in a DH role. Who knows? Maybe he can work on both. But Dan Jones, screwball.
There's something screwy around here.
Well, he's not the Scottish screwball like Marty McCleary. But Dan Jones, the 24-year-old, will be drafted here by the Stags. Along with a change oof. Yes, indeed, a change oof. All right, Montreal, your pick, sir. Give me this. Oh, good. I was like, my wife still over there listening to me do all this hemming and hawing? Like, there are things I'd rather listen to than me. All right, Montreal's first pick of the 30th round is in, and it will be from the Toronto Blue Jays in Double-A, another 1.0 name. It is Ralph East from Hollywood, Florida. 8th round selection in 2022. East, pretty good corner outfielder, probably better than a center fielder. Not fast, but smart. He can get you the occasional steal. He is fairly decent on the base paths, but he is a power-based specialist. A little bit of a possibility of being a 3-pitch or a 3-outcome type of player, although he could work more on his eye discipline, but not afraid to strike out. Struck out 123 times in Double-A. Do think the power has more potential upside than where it has shown so far, as he has hit in the low teens for home runs thus far. But East, again, a guy who's got 0 service time, so he's inexpensive. He's worth a gamble if you're going to try to take some opportunity. There's one less player for you to take from the Toronto Blue Jays, as he will stay in Canada, but just go to Montreal. All right, next pick is from the Washington Nationals. Outfielder Luis Crespo, 21 years old from Venezuela. Crespo definitely is a power-based hitter. Had 17 home runs in rookie ball, 9 in 137 at-bats in A-ball Harrisburg this past year. Definitely a guy who still needs some more work. Probably a guy that most likely has a future just being a professional hitter. But again, 2 new spots have opened up for that, and he may be trying to apply for it in the future. Not a fast guy. He will clog the base paths as far as we can see, but maybe he's got some better work to do. But Luis Crespo will be selected here by the Expos, and I think that's the first player from the Nationals that's been selected. Need to turn the Mega Timer off and just call Thundercats for a minute straight? No. All right, so 2 picks for the Stags. First pick to end 31st round, please. I probably won't find him that way, so let me do it this way. I know the name. I think I wanted to originally know him as the Frog. Gary Hopper from Seattle has been selected. Hopper, 21-year-old right-hander from Illinois, 10th round draft pick back in 2022. Kind of a borderline, is he a reliever? Is he a starter? Yeah, I'm just going to search the name for players here. And apparently that's the 5th player for Seattle. So Seattle is now going to be off the board on selections as the pool or the field is going to minimize. Now the problem with Hopper, can he keep the ball over the plate? He can throw hard, but he is a pure hurler versus a pitcher. Throws a fastball, has a good splitter, and he works also a curveball, slider, knuckle, curve in the combination. I don't know if I could see him as a starter. They've tried that a couple seasons ago. He's working more in a relief role, and he did well here in A-plus ball last season. 8-5 record, 2.56 ERA, but only 6 starts in that time. Do the math. 170 strikeouts and 98 1/3 innings of work. That's more than 15 strikeouts per 9, guys. Hopper knows how to strike people out. He just also doesn't know how to keep them off the base paths via walk. That will be the challenge. All right, Hopper to Portland. Next selection. So Seattle and St. Louis are off the boards. We have 1 pick remaining for Houston, for Minnesota, for Texas, and the Mets. All right, selection is in. 32nd pick will be Eric Messi. Maybe. Hello. No. Massey, thank you. I was not recalling the name offhand, but it's Eric Massey, pitcher from the Chicago Cubs. 26-year-old, 8th round draft pick in that same 2022 draft, pitched in AAA Iowa this past year. 90 innings of work, a 5.66 ERA. Throws hard in the upper 90s, works a cutter more than anything else. Aju with the boost. Yes, I'm keeping track of things still. This is not your... who is it? You're confusing me when you say not the pick. I'm assuming it's still Eric Massey is who you want. Again, okay. I'm so confused. 26-year-old. He is a bit of a hard worker. Again, he's got decent control. He can make swing and miss. Anyone can when you could throw upper 90s. So again, Massey has shown at lower levels that he has some potential to be pretty respectable. We'll absolutely see what Portland has in mind for him. All right, next selection. Will be Dave Schaefer, which will end Minnesota from being further selected upon. Schaefer is a 22-year-old from Zachary, Louisiana. Pitched, he's in Pensacola currently. He was in A-ball last year, 4-2, 2.89 ERA. Ground ball type of specialist, mostly fastball, curveball, working a circle change in it. Potential. He's got potential like anything, but you're not sure if he's more reliever or starter. Has been used as a starter more, but we'll see. I've got to think that Schaefer is still for the future more than anything. All right, 33rd round. Pick is in. And it's from Cleveland. Levi Usher, center fielder, hit 246 with 4 home runs and 17 RBI this past year. Usher has speed, absolute speedster, but never had a season where he's really been mostly successful. He's below league average in regards to his success ability. Less than 50% of stolen bases he's attempted has he stolen. He's got the speed, maybe just not the smarts yet. 259 career average, 19 home runs, so he's got the potential. Again, he's a good outfielder, probably a very capable center fielder, but maybe better defender on the corners. And again, good speed, just hasn't translated yet, but he's inexpensive. He will go into his arbitration year, and he won't double. But again, it's easy to double when you're only at 950,000 here. All right, Usher picked by the Expos with their 33rd round pick. 2 for Attica. We got about 10 minutes left, and again, we're going to take a 10 to 15 minute commercial break after this. I don't know. I don't know if we're going to be able to get done the whole draft here today. It really is up to those two guys. They could probably use the break. Pick is in. I'm just going to do it this way. Oh, are people typing on the spreadsheet? What the hell? There shouldn't be anyone who has the ability to tap on the spreadsheet. Should only have certain permissions for certain people. Oh, okay. Understood. All right. Did I choose the player? I thought I did. Juan Tello, third baseman from Milwaukee. Tello is a 21-year-old, not known for power. He has respectable discipline. He's a line drive type of hitter. He can definitely extend that to third, to triples here with his speed. As a third baseman, arm is okay. I would say at best he's probably an adequate third baseman, but that's probably just saying he's average. Maybe he's got a future more as a first baseman here, but still a guy who has the ability to hit for some average, 328 average in A-plus ball. Has not been able to really do well in the 2 attempts he's had at Double-A, so we'll see if whether or not he's ready to do so with a little bit of extra experience. But again, guy that's not bad for taking a chance on here at this stage of the game. All right, Stags with their next selection here for the 34th round. While they do that, let's look now. $99.5 million, about halfway through their budget with what they brought in so far. Meanwhile, the Expos are in the $103 million range to this point. You can see the players that they have under salary. And then for the Stags, oh, your player is in. And it will be, well, let's make sure. It is the pitcher from Atlanta because we have 2 Gabriel Rodriguez's, but it will be the one from Atlanta. The 27-year-old Puerto Rican had a sub-2 ERA this past season. The left-hander throws a competent fastball, curveball combination, throws upper 90s. Did have 12 saves in Gwinnett in one season back in 2024, but in his majors time, an ERA just north of 2 with a whip above league average, and definitely strikes out more batters per 9 innings. So Rodriguez, 650,000, and going to stay that way for at least another season for sure, unless he's a super 2. A pretty solid pick here. I like Gabriel Rodriguez. All right. Montreal has made their selection. I know this is a 1.0 name. Yes, thank you, Dish. Appreciate you doing that. Did I spell Stewart wrong? Let's do it this way. Roy. Oh, it's not Roy Stewart. It's Roy Stewart. Spell it right, Ken. You're throwing me off. I'm kidding. 24-year-old Roy Stewart from San Diego has been selected. Played in AAA El Paso this past year, hit .239, 4 home runs, 16 RBI. Cannon for an arm, over at third, maybe still just an adequate average third baseman at best. Some speed, not stolen base speed, although he did steal 13 in AA back in 2025. He's got a little potential of everything. Not bad to take a chance on a guy 6'3", 220 pounds out of Rice University. So he's got the credo there, 8th round draft pick back in 2022. Again, at this point, you can take flyers on guys that could pan out. And the pedigree for Stewart is he can be a capable player. So good selection here, Roy Stewart. 35th round we go, and we got 5 minutes before the commercial. Remember, we're going to take a little bit of an extended break. We're going to give these guys, as well as yours truly, an opportunity to stretch our legs here, as this is a bit of a marathon. Louis Fregoso from the Nationals, 24-year-old right-hander from Santiago in the Dominican. He is a traditional 4-pitch starter with fastball, curveball, slider, changeup. Got good control. Average probably at best. Can keep the ball in the park as well as get the strikeouts. His last season, he pitched for AA Harrisburg. He did get some starts, but he pitched 44 innings, ERA of 4.5 over that time. He did pitch better when he was in Potomac, an ERA about a run better. So again, Fregoso, he's 24, so he's getting a little up there in age to be identified as a prospect, but he still has that potential. Maybe you look at a guy who's a bit more of an improved or better reliever. We'll see. But again, low-risk flyer with somebody who doesn't have any salary here. All right, Fregoso is in place. That means it is now the Stags for 2 picks. We're going to end the 35th round here on the next selection. We got 4 minutes. We'll see how far we can go. And again, I'm planning to take at least a 15-minute break. All right, pick is in. It will be Larry Myers from Detroit. Is Detroit's done? Nope, Detroit has now 4 players picked that I'm aware of. Myers, 23-year-old corner outfielder from the Detroit Tigers. Definitely a stingy guy to get out. He will make pitchers work when he is at the plate. Pretty good corner outfielder, respectable. It will say at least plus as a defender, both on the arm, the range. Not stellar in any way, shape, or form, but definitely a guy that if you give him an opportunity and he continues to capitalize, he could do well. He did hit .368 in almost 100 at-bats in AA Erie, so he does have some offense, just a matter of whether or not it can translate in the majors. Why not take a chance on him? 23-year-old Larry Myers, selected here by the Stags. The Stags' next selection will be the 36th round. And their pick is in. And it will be Jorge Cavazos, center fielder from the Oakland Athletics. 24-year-old, played in AA Midland this past season. He was a .234 hitter with 6 home runs, 38 RBI. More of a speed defense specialist than an offensive type of guy. But again, these guys can serve their purpose, even if it's 4th or 5th outfielder roles here. And he will definitely not disappoint. They get the occasional offense, they'll do well. But they can come in late games, steal some bases, get some defense. Never a bad thing to have someone like Jorge Cavazos to take a flyer on. All right, 2 minutes left. Ken, your turn here. Let's see if we can get at least 2 more picks in. We've got our first. Let me do it this go around. There he is. Nutsy Poo. Community credit player will be taken from the Arizona Diamondbacks. Logan Nutzman has been selected here by the Montreal Expos. Good offensive-minded player, a bit more defensive-oriented, but he's been hitting in the 300s here over a few seasons. He even did pretty well in the small cup of coffee he had in AAA Reno this past season, but he played mostly in A-plus Visalia, where he had 14 homers, 59 RBI, while hitting .303. 5'7", 200-pound right-handed catcher Logan Nutsey from Montana will be selected here by the Expos. All right, one last selection. Oh, for Christ's sakes. I got to do it this way, and we're going to rush. And then we'll take our break. Are you even sure it's Jorge? Dear Lord, Ken, you're killing me. Oh, wait. Never mind. You're probably right. I probably screwed it up because I forgot I had a catching filter on. All right, we're hurrying. Jorge Cerna from the Milwaukee Brewers. 23-year-old left-handed hitter. Pretty good gaps type of hitter. Plus speed, or not plus speed, minus speed. Plus home runs. Cannon for an arm, but not a real upside on the defense. We got 10 seconds. We're now going to enter a 15-minute break. We thank you for your patience. We have 37 rounds done. We are halfway through this thing. Not sure if we're going to be able to get through the whole thing. We're trying. But we need a little bit of time. Now, we're going to take a short break, about 15 minutes tops. Please stick around. Thank you for your patience. We'll be back. We are back after a bit of an extended break, mostly to give us an opportunity to get back front and center. It is the Fluffy Kitty Ninja Show. It is Commish LB, and we are doing a painstaking 75 rounds. We are halfway through this thing. We're going to try our best to get through it. We're going to be a little quicker with selections. Let's start with 37th round pick. Tim Mitchell for the Portland Stags. He is from Philly. Right-hander. Could be a possible reliever. Good movement. Little work needed on the control. 3-pitch specialist. Works better with the fastball and the changeup. Does work a slider as well. And did do sub-2 ERA for Double-A Reading. Sidearm specialist. Probably more likely to be a reliever at this stage of the game. But Mitchell selected by the Stags. 38th round pick is in as well. We'll go pull him up, we think. Frank Martinez from the San Diego Padres will be selected, a 1.0 player. A guy who's going to be a real challenge to get out at the plate. Probably one of the better hand-eye coordinated kind of guys. Can hit for a little bit of average. Going to be a respectable defender. Not the best arm, so definitely probably better to be on the second base side. But good on turning that double play. Just not going to be the fastest guy, so doesn't put it together as a complete package, but still a guy who's always got that word, potential. We'll see what he can do here. 2020 second pick to the Stags. Montreal is up. Which pick are you talking about, Brennan? Are you talking about Tim Mitchell? Tim Mitchell was the prior pick from Philadelphia. All right, next selection. First for Montreal, it's from the Los Angeles Angels. Angels now with 4 players off the board. Left fielder Jaheim Underdew, 22-year-old from Tulsa, Oklahoma, will be selected here. Definitely a good type of offensive potential player. Hit above 250 this past season. If you look at how he did in A-plus ball as a possible sample of what he could do in the majors, 249 average, 25 homers, 77 runs batted in. I think they'd like more what he did in Double-A Mobile, as that's a little bit more potential. But again, first baseman, corner, outfielder type of player who can at least provide some good offensive talent here. So I think a great selection here on this opportunity in the 38th round. Now 39th round. Montreal's next selection. Going over to the Cubs, Harlan Vokey, played in AAA Iowa. The Canadian from Toronto will play for Montreal, another power-type masher, not known really for his average. Tim Mitchell is a pitcher, right-handed pitcher for Philadelphia. Again, I'm going to try to be quicker, and I apologize for the mess that might convey. Tell you what, Attica and Ken, if you could, please, when you send me your picks, send them to Brendan as well. So whisper Brendan as well what your picks are as you are announcing them. Do them to me first, do them to him after. Let's streamline this as best we can. So again, Harlan Vokey, first baseman, not known for defense, not known for speed, just known for offensive prowess. That's all. Oh, I showed it on screen, just not long from your perspective because I'm just trying to be quick. I'm only really interested at this point on telling a bigger story on a player if it's a real name that comes out here at this point. Stags are up for 2. This will end the 39th round. We'll go into the 40th round here. I also know you're pressed for time as well, too, and I really appreciate you working on that spreadsheet. I do feel like I will have to say somewhere around Davy Garcia's long gone. Davy Garcia was a 7th round selection. I do feel like 3 o'clock should be a hard cutoff time for us today, because that'll be near 5 hours of doing this. All right. That name is available. Corbin Klaus from the Atlanta Braves is selected here. A little bit more on the expensive side. Klaus, $11 million here over the next 3 seasons. Did get 20 saves, so is this your possible closer here? Possibly, but when he was put in a setup role, he was a sub 2.5 ERA type of player here. 10.5 strikeouts in this past season over his time. 8 seasons in the majors, 57 career saves, and a sub 3 ERA in that time. Klaus, the only worry you had for him from last season was his whip, with the walks kind of racking up. He walked more than 5 batters every 9 innings he was in. That's not the trend you want to see. You'd like to see that go where it had been in the most recent seasons, but still striking out more than 10 batters per 9 innings. All right, Klaus is gone. Second pick for the Stags now. And it will be Carlos Irigoyen from Colorado. The Venezuelan, 25 years old. We've seen a bit in Colorado, just a .232 average this past season, 6 homers, and 36 RBIs. He is not a stolen base type of specialist. He'll give you average offensive potential. At least that's what he has shown. Remember, he did play in Coors, so you might be like, I probably should have been a little bit better offensively speaking. But again, mostly known for his defense. Going to be an excellent defender if called upon. Seems to be a little bit of a focus we noticed coming from Portland selections here. Irigoyen selected by the Stags here to start the 40th round. Montreal up for 2. Hello, Laptop. Thank you for the follow earlier. And if you weren't here, whenever you get a gifted sub, you are invited to create a community created player here in the eMLB universe. Your player will enter in the draft. You will choose your school. high school or college, you will declare when you go for the draft. You will be drafted in this coming season by one of the now 32 teams, as we are doing that process right today as you're watching. So we hope you will join us so we can start to tell your story among the many others. We now have over 200 plus community creative players in the eMLB universe. I must be, it's Jeremy. I read Jimmy because I'm rushing. Jeremy Paredes from the Philadelphia Phillies, the 23-year-old, the left fielder. He's kind of an average defender, but another enormous power guy. Seem to notice the trend for Montreal. Portland favors defense. Montreal favoring more of the power mash 'em kind of guys. Who cares if they hit 230, 240? In the case of Paredes in A-ball last year, he hit 159 with 9 homers. He hit not much better in A-plus ball. So definitely a different type of a guy you hope will be able to hit better. He definitely is swing and miss. Swings for the fences, will get your walks. Maybe he's one of those guys. Home run, walk, or strikeout type of outcome player. But Paredes from Philly will be drafted here for Montreal on their first pick. Second pick is in. Jack Cooper from the Red Sox will be selected. Cooper is a 23-year-old right-hander, 6'3", 205 pounds, from St. John's River State, which is a community college. He's a 4th-round selection back in 2022. Played in A-ball this past year, was 5-9 with an ERA just under 4. Still being groomed as a starter if we go by what we have seen in the Red Sox organization. Throws hard, can keep the ball down, but really only relies heavily on the fastball and maybe the cutter. The changeup needs a lot of work and does not have a bending additional pitch. That might be the difference between him being better as a reliever versus a possible starter. Stay tuned for more info there. Jack Cooper selected, which now gives Portland 2 picks here. There might be a cool down on that right now. Stags will go after Baltimore Orioles' Alfredo Barajas. That's just the 3rd player for them. All teams have had at least 1 player taken thus far. Remember, every team will have 5, no matter what. Barajas, 23-year-old, a power type of hitter, can hit for average. Probably can play both corner outfield positions as well as first base pretty competently. He played in A-ball Delmarva, hitting .326 with 8 homers and 26 RBI this past season. Just 1 home run when he played in A-plus ball, Fredericksburg, for last season. Okay, Barajas drafted, now 42nd round. Juan Ruelas from Tampa Bay. Ruelas, another outfielder. A bit more of a speedster kind of guy. Could probably play first base and the corner outfields. Wouldn't put him in center field despite him having a little bit of experience there. Tampa acquired him from waivers from Minnesota. He had hit .304 with 6 homers and 34 RBI, stealing 8 bases as well. Does have a little bit of winter league experience. He's 25 years old and not 1 day of service time. So again, a lot of these types of players, why not? It's low risk. Give it a chance. You never know if there'll be some depth or you might find a diamond in the rough. He is a guy that can hit for some power and do some gap hitting. So he has the potential. That's all you need to start with. Montreal, ready for your 2 picks. Laptop, even better. All right, so Laptop, if you haven't joined us yet, first off, thank you and congratulations. You've used some of your hairballs you've earned while watching our show. You have now officially, here's what you've done. The gifted sub now counts as a boost. You cash in the hairballs, and that takes precedent because that saves the gifted sub for you to boost your player further. So awesome for you. Join us in our Discord if you're not there yet, and find the Create a Player Template section. And if you have any questions, don't be shy. Ask right in the Discord, and people will guide you, especially while I'm doing today's show. All right, my understanding is this is the last of the Houston Astros to be selected here on today's draft. Irving Hart, the shortstop. Shortstop, second baseman, can play first base as well. Got some speed. Kind of your prototypical possible leadoff or bottom third of the order kind of guy. So 12 bases while hitting 227. Did have 16 doubles as well, too. So he does have a little bit. Maybe could use better on that considering his speed. But Irving Hart, defensive-minded dynamo, definitely a speedster and can hit for a little bit of average. At least that's the belief. Irving Hart, selected here by Montreal. That's the fifth and final Houston Astros. So now we have 4 teams that have had all 5 of their players taken. These teams no longer will have their players at risk. That is Houston, Minnesota, Seattle, and St. Louis. We will go onward. Onward! And it will be... Oops, sorry. Hold on, Mark. Excuse me. Mixing my names up. Hold on, Attica. I've got one more pick here for the Expos, starting 43rd round. And it's Christian Ciafatelli, 26-year-old pitcher. Pitching from Texas, does not throw super hard, high 80s, low 90s. Just not sure if he's better suited as a reliever or a starter at this point. Good control, more of a finesse type of pitcher. 4-pitch arsenal, your traditional. Favors more on the deception of the changeup than anything. This is Texas's final player to be selected, so they are off the board. Again, he had 81 innings and 74 strikeouts, so at least he can still bring the strikeouts in his particular approach. All right, now over to the Stags. And it will be another community creative player being selected here. It's from the Giants, Mark Maisonneuve. Hey, Forrest. Mark Mayonnaise, as his nickname is. Maisonneuve is a community creative player. Kind of fallen out of favor. He was once a pretty respectable starter on the back end. You can see in his Toronto days, he had an ERA under 4. Then got traded. Still had a mid-4 ERA that season. Stayed at 371 with Los Angeles in 2023, but then in the World Series season, he got his ring, but he didn't factor in very much long-term and got sent to San Francisco. Sadie, you're gifting a sub over to community created player. Oh, wait a minute. Paying forward the gift they got from Denbrew to Forrest Heitert. And Forrest will get his mini boost from that. The ad is going to start after this one. So, Mark, community created player of Mark Mayonnaise. 4.5 ERA, 31-34 career record. He will try to make a name for himself once again now with the Portland Stags. All right, we're going to take the quick break. It's coming. Again, we got to pay the college bills coming up, so we have commercials on. We apologize for that. We will be back to continue this draft afterwards. Don't go anywhere. Back live, continuing the 2027 first ever expansion draft in eMLB history. Commish LB back here with you on Fluffy Kitty Ninjas. Let's jump right back into the action. Portland's next selection coming up. They will select Jorge Mariscal from Milwaukee. It should be the final Milwaukee Brewers selected here. Mariscal, ground ball specialist, can be a starter this past season, A+ ball. Ignore the record, 5-16, but a 4.3 ERA, 1.48 WHIP. Shows promise. but not known to be a strikeout specialist. For a guy who throws this hard, you got to think that he's going to have better than 5 strikeouts per 9 innings. So he really has some work to do. He could be more of a reliever type so that he might influence more swing and miss. Who knows? But has decent movement, just gave up 10 home runs in that 152 innings. All right, that is your 44th round, first pick of the 44th round. We now go on to 2 picks for the Expos. And Ken just said, shoot, was planning to take a Brewer. You can't do it now because the Brewers are off the table. Again, 5 players from each team maximum can be allowed. 6 teams now are out. The rest of their team is protected. They cannot be selected. Houston, Minnesota, Seattle, Texas, Milwaukee, and St. Louis. It's all part of the strategy. Teams who have only 1 more player at risk: Cleveland, Detroit, the Angels, and the Cubs, and the Mets. So pay attention to the tracker. All right. I was wondering when this guy was going. Riley Farrell will be the last Angel taken. Farrell, $5 million for 1 more year. The $33 million, 33-year-old with the impressive pedigree, throws pretty well in his time. 3.61 ERA and over 400 games played, 500 innings of work with almost 600 strikeouts. Now, there was the discussion yesterday whether or not Farrell is taken with a high salary. Maybe. But again, he has a consistent track record. You got to think, hey, he's worth it. So Angel should be off the table now. All right, next pick is in. Oh, he's already on my screen. Washington Nationals. It is Trey Dillard will be selected here by the Expos. The Nationals will get another pick done. That's their 3rd player off the board. 14th round draft pick back in 2020. Pitched in AAA more than anything. Did not do well in the majors this past season as you look at his history. He started good. 2025 was excellent. 72 innings of work on that World Series year. Like a lot of Nationals, he kind of fell back to earth. A little bit of the hangover effect, unfortunately. The whip has been below league average, which is a concern for a guy who has 100+ innings of work here. Have to keep a very close eye on Trey Dillard from Washington. Has been selected here by the Expos to start the 45th round. The 2nd pick of the round now goes to Attica. Punk, I see your +3. J.R. Frankenstero getting boosted while watching this draft. All right, pick is in, and it's a Cleveland Indian, Hunter Brault. Cleveland now is off the board with this selection. Brault, we've seen in a few different roles. He was a starter for a while. As you look at his track record, 4 seasons in the majors, he was exclusively a reliever this year. Didn't see much improvement from him. The whip actually went in the wrong direction, 1.8, but he kept the home runs fair. He only allowed 1 home run per 9. The walks had been a bit more like where he was when he had 28 starts back in 2024. The 27-year-old Hawaiian, it throws the fastball, curveball, changeup combination. Another one of those questions. Do you take a chance on him? Seems ecstatic to be leaving. You never know, but with all the talent brought in lately, Brault definitely got pushed to the back. All right, we're now into round 46, and I see the selection. Oops. Can I spell? Can I filter properly? Apparently not. I can't do any of it. Arturo Resendiz from the Detroit Tigers will be the final Tiger taken off the board. We're now getting a bit more strategic on where you go because remember, as soon as 5 players from a team are gone, the rest of that roster is completely removed here, so the team is protected. You can only pick from the rest of the litter. Resendiz, 23-year-old Dominican who throws and touches 100+ regularly, could be a starter. He was this past season in A+ ball. He had 14 wins, 12 losses, 3 saves, with 33 starts. Was there anyone else pitching? 273 innings of work and 301 strikeouts? Are you kidding me? I don't think there was anyone else playing in A+ ball that in A ball that season. Sheesh. If his arm falls off, well, you bought him as is, but he'll go to Portland. And now it is Montreal's pick, and they will go, well, let's do this. Russ Curtis, starter from the Dodgers. Dodgers only had 1 player pick so far here. Now their second player is 21-year-old Russ Curtis, right-hander, 6 foot, 205-pounder, 20th round draft pick back in 2022 from University of North Carolina. Played for Rookie Ball Ogden this past year, 10-2 with a 1.8 ERA and 14 starts. Well, that's a good sign. Fastball, cutter, curveball, changeup specialist, throws upper 90s, known to be a committed gym rat. So he definitely has the right mix of possibly being successful. But he only pitched in rookie ball. That doesn't give you a lot of assumption on what his future is at the higher levels. Next selection. Joe Lynch, first baseman from the Philadelphia Phillies. Lynchy, the 23-year-old from the 1.0 universe, has not played in the majors yet. He thinks he's ready, so we'll see if he's given the shot. Former 4th-round pick in 2022 from the Seton Hall Pirates. Hi, Ataraxy. Man, you've got some boosted subs to be able to work on your player, but now's not the time to do it. So circle back with us after. Nice to have you back, though, as you see our first ever expansion draft. Montreal Expos, Portland Stags. This is the Expos' second pick here in a row. From Lehigh Valley this year, Lynch hit .256, 2 homers, 21 RBI, but he had most of his time in AA Reading, where he hit .246 with 9 homers and 35 RBI. Grades out to have some good offensive talent here. Bit of a liability over at first. Not the most nimble, not the most reactive, not the fastest guy, but again, this is a guy you take a flyer on. He's got 0 service time. He's going to be inexpensive. And he could be a good value if the offense translates to what it looks like he could. Oh, well, that's good that you can log back in, so we're happy to have you back. All right, Lynch is selected. Now 2 for the Portland Stags here. Again, if you look on the board, we have now 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 teams are no longer allowed to be drafted from. So all of those players, we now have only 1,250 possible players can be selected from. And teams that are on the verge of being tapped out are the Cubs, the Mets, and the Phillies. All right, first pick will be Buck Corcoran. Corcoran was a good offensive talent. 28-year-old Corcoran from Lynchburg, Virginia, 1.0 name. He hit .208 with a home run and 9 RBI last couple years ago, and only had a small cup of coffee with the parent club White Sox this past year. Career .218 hitter in just 147 at-bats for Buck. Buck is a respectable to slightly above average defenseman. Again, he can hit. He's known a little bit more for his offense, but he's not an overall type of player. So I would say Offensively speaking, he reminds me of a past his prime Joe Mauer, just on the right side. Still adequate as a defender, but just not stellar. So I don't know if I would see him as getting a majority of starts type of player, but he's still a respectable player at this name of the game. Buck Corcoran, White Sox selection, I think, what was that, the third? So we have 3 selections from the White Sox now. Next selection from the Stags to start round 48. This is from the Giants. This will be the 4th player. Oh, well, if I can get the filters to work properly. Kevin Fueston, outfielder. Fueston, a 23-year-old left-hander, known for hitting, for driving into the gaps. That could work, especially when he's in San Fran. That would work in Triples Alley. We'll see if that works in Portland. Has good home run power, not a fast guy. Bit of a defensive liability. You probably only put him out there as a last-minute risk, unless you keep to work on that. He was a .261 hitter at AAA Sacramento with 6 home runs and 21 RBI this past season. All right, Expos are up for 2 selections here as we creep closer and closer to round number 50. Sion Huang, if I can hit the... why am I struggling with the filter here? Sion Huang from the Los Angeles Dodgers will be selected here. What do you have your scale ratings on for the players? I see it only goes up to like 16. The answer is we use the famous, highly loved 1 to 20 scaled ratings system here in eMLB. Sometimes I think we use it just to piss people off. We do. The only place you don't have it is up here. It's a 20/80 scale system, and we don't do it by 5s. But it is a 1 to 20 system, so you can determine what people do for what. So, Dodgers selection. By the way, hello, and thank you for saying hi. Glad you're here, Sparks. Hope to see you around a bit more here in our perpetual interactive online universe. So anyway, Sion Wang from South Korea in the Dodgers organization will be drafted here by Le Montreal Expos. He played in A-ball this past year.
If you would join us.
Thank you for hitting the follow as well. Sion Expo, 7-8 record with a 2.19 ERA, predominantly as a reliever, over 70 innings of work this past year. Throws good mid-upper 90s, works the fastball, cutter changeup combination, good control, good value pick here. Again, the plus, these guys have no service time. These are good build-up players. Yes, this is baseball D&D. That is exactly what we are. So Sion Wang, not a bad selection here, as the Dodgers will have a selection taken. Dodgers, I think, are now at 3 players taken overall. Next selection will be Jacob Wallace. He is from the Oakland Athletics, 28-year-old right-hander. Had 9 appearances, 7.5 ERA. He has dabbled as a journeyman throughout the majors over his time. As you see, his background, ERA just under 7, 60 innings of work. The Connecticut, or Methuen, Mass native who played over at UConn might have a good opportunity. Again, you look at it this way. He's league minimum. You got plenty of control on him. You maybe add a third pitch that he's competent in, and maybe he turns into a really respectable setup kind of guy. Just a matter of whether or not he is coachable. We'll find out. Jacob Wallace, drafted here by the Expos. Final round of the 50s. Remember, this is a 75-round draft. We are freaking crazy, I tell you. So, Attica, you've got 2 picks here. And while he's doing that, let's show you where they are. On a $200 million budget, the Stags are now around $111.5 million. Montreal is at $107.2 million to this point. So both teams trying to be economical here. We're more than halfway through this draft. We'll see if there's going to be any surprise big names coming out late. While we wait, oh, there's our pick. Never mind. We got about 11 minutes before our next commercial break. Fraser Payne from the Dodgers. He's a left-hander from Spanish Town, Jamaica. He is Jamaican. Nice to have some diversity on that. Bit of control issues. Sidearm power throwing left-hander. Boy, that sounds scary. He throws 5 different pitches. Could realistically has the endurance to be a starter. Just don't know if he has the makeup for it. But a fastball, splitter curve, slider, changeup. Throws all 5 pitches at least average to better. Again, he can make you swing and miss. It's can he keep the ball in the park? And can he throw the ball over the plate? More hurler than he is actual pitcher. But again, a low risk, big reward type of guy. If you give him a shot, Fraser Payne drafted here. 49 rounds are officially done here on this draft. Excuse me. I'm allergic to the 50th round, apparently. All right. For curiosity, who are the top names, at least from an OSA scouting standpoint, that are still out there? Thank you for the blessing. All right, we got our next pick in. Let's start the 50th round. Let's go in and go in hot. That's what she said.
That's what she said.
I said that already. All right, Mike Krause. Mike Krause doesn't have the same expression. But Mike Krause from Daytona Beach. Red Sox will lose the 26-year-old right-hander. He's got pretty good movement on that cutter. The splitter working down in the zone pretty well. Definitely influences a lot of ground balls. He had a mid-3 ERA for the Sea Dogs this past season in 16 appearances. Still trouble with keeping the ball from getting hit, though, as he works more to try to influence the ground balls for double plays than he does to try to influence swing and miss on strikeouts. But another kind of guy that was once a first-round draft pick. This was the year we started drafting ourselves. He was a first-round draft pick back in 2022. Hasn't panned out yet, but maybe he does here in this expansion opportunity. You wanted me to say, Mike Krause! All right. And les Expos are up. And they will start off with Andy Clark from the Chicago White Sox will be the first selection here. White Sox now with 4 players taken. Clark, definitely more of a DH type. He's a tank on the base paths. He is not the fastest guy. He is not a great defender out there, but boy, can he hit him a country mile when he does. 20 home runs for Birmingham Barons this season, Double-A ball, but he was hitting under 200 during that time. In Kannapolis the prior year, he had hit 273 with 25 bombs.